The job market does not reward the best candidates. It rewards the best packaged ones. Sit with that for a second. If you've been doing everything right, building your skills, racking up experience, delivering results, and you're still not seeing the offers that match what you're actually worth, that sentence just explained your entire solution. This isn't about working harder. You've already done that. This is about something most high performers have never been taught, and it is costing them 6 figures. Literally. Here's the thing nobody tells you about the most talented people in the room. The better you are at your job, the worse you probably are at getting credit for it. Think about the highest performers that you know. The ones who are head down, delivering, solving problems, keeping things running. Are they the loudest people in the building? Are they constantly broadcasting their wins? Probably not, because they were taught, whether explicitly or just by culture, that good work speaks for itself. That belief, it is wrecking your earning potential. Good work does not speak for itself in a job search. Hiring manager has your resume for 7 seconds before they decide yes or no. 7 seconds. Your 15 years of expertise, your late nights, your complex problem solving, none of it registers unless you've packaged it in a way that cuts through instantly. And that's not a reflection of your talent. It's a skill gap, a very specific, very fixable skill gap. And that's what we're fixing today. Here's what this episode is going to do for you. Not theoretically, not try this and see, but actually. One of my clients, a director-level ops leader with 14 years of experience, had been applying for 6 months without a single offer above $95K. We spent 3 weeks repositioning how she communicated her expertise. Her next offer was $162K. Same person, the exact same experience, but completely different packaging. Another client, a software engineer who'd been at the same company for 8 years, assumed he was too specialized to command a premium elsewhere. Wrong! He landed a $40K raise on his next move. Without a competing offer, without a counteroffer war, just by understanding one thing about how hiring decisions are actually made. That's what's possible. And the gap between where you are and where they landed isn't talent, it's strategy. Let me show you the strategy. By the way, if we haven't met, my name's Mary Southern. I'm the founder of Resume Assassin. And for the past decade, I've helped over 4,000 people land jobs at places like Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Netflix, and so many more. Not by reinventing their careers, but by completely transforming how their expertise was communicated on paper, on LinkedIn, and in the room. So everything I'm going to share with you today, battle tested, real client results, just no recycled fluff. Here's what we're covering. We're going to talk about why your expertise is basically invisible right now and how to fix that. We're going to completely reframe how you think about LinkedIn, because if you're using it like a resume, you're leaving offers on the table. Then we're going to get into the interview answers that are quietly killing 6-figure offers. And finally, negotiation, because that's where the real money lives. And most people absolutely blow it. Let's go. Let's start with the thing that is almost certainly the root of your problem. You're not even going to see it coming. The highest performers are statistically the worst at self-promotion. And I don't mean that they're shy or introverted. I mean they've been actively trained out of it. Here's how it happens. From the time you were in school, you were rewarded for doing the work. Grades, promotions, performance reviews, they all came from execution. Deliver the project, hit the number, solve the problem, be the reliable one. And over time, your brain built a very clean equation. Results equal recognition. But that equation only works inside a company where people can see your work directly. The second you step into a job search or even a promotion conversation, that equation breaks completely. And nobody told you. In a job search, nobody can see your work. All they can see is how you describe your work. And if you've spent your entire career letting the work speak for itself, you've never developed the muscle to translate that work into language that makes someone say, we need this person at any cost. This is the brag blind spot. And the cruel irony is that the more competent you are, the more invisible this makes you. because you've been succeeding without it for years. Here's what this looks like in practice. 2 candidates apply for the same VP role. Candidate A has deeper experience, more relevant wins, and genuinely better judgment. But their resume reads like an org chart. Titles, dates, departments. Their LinkedIn says, experienced leader, passionate about driving results. In the interview, when asked about their biggest win, they give a thoughtful, very humble answer about the team effort and cross-functional collaboration. Candidate B has a slightly less experience, but their resume reads like a highlight reel. Specific numbers, specific impact, specific business outcomes. Their LinkedIn headline immediately tells you what they do and who they help. In the interview, they say, we turned around a division that was at a $2 million loss, and they hit $8 million in profit within 18 months. Here's exactly how I did it. Candidate B gets the offer every single time, not because they're better, but because they're louder about the right things. The fix isn't becoming someone who brags obnoxiously. The fix is understanding that in a hiring context, precision is not bragging, it's clarity. Hiring managers aren't looking for humility here. They're looking for proof. Your job is to give it to them without making them dig for it. Here's your action step. Write down your 3 biggest professional wins, not your job duties, your wins. The things where you can say, because of what I did, this thing changed. Now, find the number. Revenue gained, costs cut, time saved, people retained, risk avoided. If you can't find a hard number, find a percentage. If you can't find a percentage, find a before and after. That contrast is the story. That's what gets you paid. Okay, this one's gonna make a lot of you go, no. Your job title, the one on your resume, on your LinkedIn, on every single application that you've submitted, almost certainly undersells what you actually do. And you've been signing off on that lie for years. Here's why this happens. Job titles are assigned by HR based on internal leveling systems, budget bands, and org structures that have absolutely nothing to do with the actual scope of your position. So you might be operating as a VP while your title says senior manager. You might be running a $10 million budget while your title says coordinator. You might be the actual decision maker while your title says analyst. And when a recruiter searches for a VP, they don't find you. When a hiring manager scans your resume for budget ownership, your title signals the wrong thing before they even read the description. Here's what most people don't know. You are allowed to contextualize your title. You don't change your title. That would be dishonest, and it will absolutely come out in a background check. But you can add context immediately beneath it that reframes the scope. So instead of just senior manager operations, you write senior manager operations. Led a team of 22. P&L ownership, 14 mil. Now the hiring manager understands who they're actually reading about. Or on your LinkedIn headline, instead of echoing your official title, you write the title that actually matches your function. Head of growth instead of marketing manager, if that's what you're actually doing. Engineering lead instead of senior software engineer, if you're de facto running the team. The market pays for scope. If your title is hiding your scope, you are discounting yourself before the conversation even starts. Here's your action step. Look at your current or your most recent job title. Now write down what you actually owned. Team size, budget, revenue line, number of direct or indirect reports, geographic scope. If that scope is bigger than your title implies, you need to add context everywhere that title appears. On your resume, on LinkedIn, and how you introduce yourself in interviews. The title stays the same. The context changes everything. Here's a number that should genuinely change your behavior. Up to 80% of jobs are never publicly posted. Let that sink in. Most of the roles being filled right now, including the 6-figure ones, are never making it to LinkedIn Jobs, Indeed, or any job board you're spending hours scrolling on. They're being filled through networks, through referrals, through recruiters reaching out to people who showed up on their radar before there was even an opening. which means if your entire job search strategy is applying to posted jobs, you're competing in the 20% of the market, the most visible, most competitive, most commoditized slice of available opportunities, while the other 80% is going to people who weren't even actively looking. And this isn't theory. One of my clients landed a $195K director role that was never posted anywhere. A recruiter found her on LinkedIn, reached out, and she was the only candidate seriously considered. Another client got a call from a former colleague who was now building a team and remembered him from a project from 3 years ago. That call turned into a $40K raise and a title jump. So how do you get into the hidden market? First, you have to be findable before you're looking. That means your LinkedIn has to be optimized, not for the job that you have, but for the job you want. Recruiters aren't searching for your current title. They're searching for skills, keywords, and outcomes. If your profile isn't reflecting those things, you don't exist in their searches. Second, you have to be referable. Think about the last 5 or 10 people you've worked with who are now at companies that you would want to work at. Are they thinking of you when an opening comes up? If you've been heads down and quiet for the past few years, the answer is probably no. A quick message. Hey, catching up. I'm exploring some new opportunities and thought of you. It takes 5 minutes and it plants a seed that could turn into your next role. Third, create a reason for people to remember you. This doesn't mean posting on LinkedIn every day necessarily. It means that once a week, once every 2 weeks, you share something genuinely useful for your industry. A take, an observation, a lesson from your work. Not a humble brag, an actual insight. People remember the person who taught them something. That person gets referred. That person gets the call. Here's your action step. Make a list of 15 people in your network who are currently at companies that you find interesting. Not people you need a favor from, people you genuinely have a relationship with. Reach out to 5 this week. Just check in, right? No ask. You're building warmth before you need it. Okay, this is the moment where people accidentally cap their own salary before they've ever even received an offer. And once you understand what's actually happening in this conversation, you will never answer this question in the same way again. Somewhere in the interview process, usually early, sometimes in the application itself, someone asks, what are your salary expectations? And most people do one of 3 things. They give a number that's exactly what they made before, maybe slightly above. They give a range where the bottom of the range is what they actually want, or they say, I'm flexible, or open to discussion, because they don't want to price themselves out. All 3 of these are mistakes. Here's why. When you anchor your previous salary, you've capped the conversation at your past, not your value. What you made at your last company has absolutely nothing to do with what this company is willing to pay for your skills. Those are 2 completely different conversations. But by bringing your old number, you've made them the same conversation. When you give them a range with your actual target at the bottom, you've told them your floor. Companies will almost always come in at or near the bottom of whatever range you give them. So if you want 130,000 and you say 120,000 to 140,000, you're probably getting 122,000. And I'm flexible is the most expensive sentence in a job search. It sounds collaborative. What it actually does is hand them the anchor. Now, they set the number, and you're negotiating from their starting point instead of yours. Here's the script that actually works. Are you listening? Because this is something I coach my clients on specifically. When asked early in the process, before you have enough information to know the full scope of the role, say this. I want to make sure we're aligned on the full scope of the role before I give you a number that might not reflect what this position actually requires. Can you share the budgeted range for this role? In most cases, they'll tell you. And now you know the ceiling before you've said anything. And if they push back and say, well, we need a number from you first, that's when you give them a range. But you anchor high. Research the market rate. Add 15 to 20% and let that be the bottom of your range. The range should be narrow, not a 40K spread. A 15 to 20K spread signals precision. A K spread signals you have no idea what you're worth. The goal is to never be the first one to name a number if you can avoid it. Whoever speaks first in a salary conversation anchors the entire negotiation. Make them speak first. Here's your action step. Before your next interview, look up the salary range for this exact role in this exact market. Use levels.fyi if it's tech, Glassdoor, LinkedIn Salary, or the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Know your number, know your floor, and practice saying it out loud until it feels completely natural, because it will feel uncomfortable the first time. Say it anyway. Okay, the offer isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. We made it to the part that nobody talks about enough. And it is, in my professional opinion, the single biggest financial mistake people make in their careers. You've got the offer. You're excited. You're relieved. And you say yes before you've even thought about what else is possible. Here's what you need to know. The first offer is a draft. It's not the final answer. Companies build negotiation buffer into every single offer they make. It's a standard part of their compensation planning. HR has a range. The number they gave you is not at the top of that range. It's a starting point designed to look like a good offer while leaving room for you to push. And yet, most people just accept the first offer, not because it was the best they could do, because they were afraid of looking greedy, afraid of the offer being rescinded, afraid of starting a new relationship on a difficult note. Let me address all three. You don't look greedy for negotiating. You look like a professional. Hiring managers fully expect candidates to negotiate. In fact, some of them lose a little bit of respect for candidates who don't, because it signals a lack of confidence in your own value. Negotiation is not an aggression. It's a conversation. Offers are almost never rescinded over a reasonable counter. Almost never. The company has already invested weeks, sometimes months, in finding you, interviewing you, deciding that you're the one. They're not throwing that away because you asked for $15,000 more. If a company rescinds an offer because you negotiated professionally, that was not a company that you wanted to work for. And negotiating at the offer stage doesn't set a bad tone. It sets the right tone, that you know your worth, you advocate for yourself, and you make decisions thoughtfully. Those are qualities every employer wants in a high performer. Here's what the actual counter looks like. When they give you the offer, you pause, even if it's on the phone, and you say, "Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I've been impressed throughout this process. I'd like to take a day to review the full package. Can I get back to you tomorrow?" Take the day. Don't negotiate in the moment when your emotions are high. Then come back with, "I've thought about it and I'm genuinely excited to join. Based on my research and the value I bring to this role, I was expecting closer to whatever your number is. Is there flexibility to get there?" And then silence. You've made your ask. Let them respond. Do not try to fill the silence. If they can't move on base salary, expand the conversation. Signing bonus, equity, extra PTO, remote work flexibility, professional development budget, start date. Every one of those has real dollar value, and companies often have more flexibility there than on the base. Here's your action step. Before your next offer conversation, write down 3 things: your anchor number, your walkaway number, and 2 non-salary items you'd want if they can't move on the base. Go into that call with a plan and not just a prayer. Okay, let's bring this home. Here's what we covered today, and I want you to actually sit with this, not just let it wash over you. The job market doesn't reward the best candidates. It rewards the best packaged ones, and packaging is a learnable skill. One that most high performers have never been taught because they've spent their whole career succeeding without it. We've talked about the brag blind spot, why the most competent people are often the most invisible, and how precision in talking about your wins isn't arrogance, it's clarity. We talked about how your job title is probably lying about your scope, and how to fix that without changing a single thing on your official record. We talked about the hidden job market and why spending all your energy on job boards means you're missing 80% of the actual opportunities. We talked about the salary expectations question and how most people cap their own offer before the company ever says a number. And we talked about negotiation and how the conversation that happens after the offer is often where $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 gets left on the table in the span of a single phone call. None of this requires you to become a different person. You don't need to be louder, more aggressive, or more self-promotional in the way that makes you feel gross. You just need to be strategic about the moments that matter. And those moments are very specific and very learnable. Here's what I want you to walk away with. Your expertise is not the problem. It never was. The problem is the gap between what you've built and how you're communicating it. Close that gap and the offers will follow. If you want help doing this, if you want someone in your corner who does this every single day, head over to resumeassassin.com. Whether it's a resume rewrite or a full LinkedIn overhaul, I've helped over 4,000 people land offers at some of the best companies in the world, and I'd love to help you next. Drop your biggest takeaway from this episode in the comments. I read every single one. And if this episode helped you, share it with someone in your life who's been grinding at their job search and can't figure out why it's not clicking. This might be exactly what they need to hear. I'm Mary Southern. This is Resume Assassin. And your six-figure offer, it's closer than you think. We'll see you in the next one.